The Lottery of Life by Tim and Harmony.
Thank you very much, Daisy, for that warm introduction. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was in my family's car, inside the car we were driving, and I looked outside the window, and I saw a kid who was roughly the same age as I was, but it looked like that kid was homeless. I remember thinking to myself, what have I done to deserve to be in this car and not be on the street? The definite answer to that question is, I had done nothing. I had done nothing to help my family afford that car. This topic of how much of our life are we in control of has always been on the back of my mind. But I didn't really start thinking about it hard until I heard some of the public intellectuals that I follow talk about it. Mainly Sam Harris, the neuroscientist slash philosopher. So since the topic is fresh on my mind, I thought I would give a speech about it instead of giving the 100th speech about mentorship that the Toastmasters program asks you to give. So tonight, I'm going to talk about how biological, environmental, and genetic factors affect our lives. Starting with biological factors. On August 1st, 1966, Charles Whitman went to his mom's house, killed his mom, then went to his own house, killed his wife. Couple hours later, he went to University of Texas and killed 15 people. In his suicide note, he wrote, "I'm supposed to be an average, reasonable, and intelligent young man. However, lately I've been a victim of many unusual and irrational thoughts." He went on to request an autopsy to be performed on his body to find out whether there was any explanation from a biological side on why he had been acting the way he had been acting. Sure enough, they performed an autopsy and they found a tumor in his head. The tumor had features of glioblastoma multiforme. And the expert working on the case concluded that the tumor conceivably could have contributed to his inability to control his emotions and actions. Basically, the experts concluded that this tumor had something to do with the fact that he went crazy and killed 17 people. Now, Sam Harris, this philosopher slash neuroscientist that I was talking about, argues that we all have a tumor in our head. We all have some biological factor that is dictating how we behave. It is really hard to argue against that. Now, moving on from biological factors, let's talk about environmental factors. I perhaps do not need to cite any research for you to believe that the environment and the family that you grew up in has an impact on your life. But I will. Raj Chetty, an economist from Harvard University, his main research focuses on upward mobility. And I couldn't figure out how this thing works. So here is the picture. So it's basically a map of the United States. And what it shows is the household income of children of low-income parents. Basically, it looks at each location in America of those families who are categorized as low income, and it looks at the children's income at age 35. As you can see on the map, there's a whole lot of different colors, red representing low income, blue representing high income. So basically, the place that you live has an impact on your potential earning. Now that you live in America, imagine if you lived outside or you lived in a different country. Now, from a personal level, I have had the chance to travel to many parts of Canada. And I have noticed how the different parts of Canada people tend to gravitate towards certain careers. Especially when I go to small towns, such as Powell River. I notice that a lot of the young men are very, very much attracted to careers in trades. Now, there's no reason to believe that these young men are not capable of becoming doctors, lawyers, engineers, animators, or whatever other career that you can think of. But it seems like in their head, they think that the only possibility for them is to follow trades. They see everyone else going into trades, so they think this is the only possibility. Again, I'm not saying trades is bad or anything, I'm just saying it seems like they don't have the opportunity to make a conscious decision because they don't see that anything else is possible for them. By now you're probably thinking, payment? No matter the circumstances you're in, you can work hard and get out of it. I completely agree. However, multiple research studies have shown that genetics play a huge role in our personality, attitude, and interests. In 1979, Thomas Butcher began a study of identical twins. He looked at identical twins that grew up in the same family and identical twins that were separated and grew up in separate families. He concluded that the twins who grew up in separate families had an equal chance of being similar to the co-twin in terms of personality, interest, and attitude as the twins who grew up together. This basically proves that genetics plays a huge role in our personality, attitude, and interest. This obviously has huge implications. One of the big 5 personality traits is conscientiousness. It basically correlates to hard work, the quality of wishing duty well. It basically means how hardworking are you. And this study shows that genetics plays a huge role on the fact that even you work hard. Now, I see in all your faces, everyone is a bit sad. You may be thinking, Payman, where are you going with this speech? Are you suggesting we should just all throw our hands up and let life happen to us? That is not at all my conclusion. I believe we have an impact on our lives, but we perhaps do not have as big of an impact as we'd like to think. My conclusion rather is in 2 parts. We should all keep our egos in check and not be so quick to attribute all the good things that have happened in our lives to the things we have done. I also think it is important for us to be more empathetic for others who are not doing as well as us, and realize how many mini lotteries we had to win in order to be where we are. Thank you very much.